Hey people, I want to continue from where we left off yesterday. We were reading from Philippians chapter 1. And I come now to, a really interesting part where we said yesterday, whatever happens, conduct yourself in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ. And then it goes on and it says, without being frightened in any way by those who oppose you. There's always opposition. You do know that, to us being believers. There's always opposition out there. Satan would not be doing his job if he didn't oppose us. And sometimes this can lead us to frightening situations. And those of you who know what I'm talking about will certainly know what I'm talking about. And yet I look across Scripture and I see, why was it that so many of those great saints were so bold in the face of huge enemies? Were so bold and lacked in fear when they had to face insurmountable challenges and armies. What made David fearless in the face of Goliath? All the other Israelites were hiding behind the rock saying, "Hey, we don't want to fight that guy. Have you seen the size of him? He's going to do us in, man." Until this fearless young man came along and said, "So why are you so frightened? Why are you so fearful?" And he went out and he stood before the giant and he said, "I come to you, and here's the key, in the name of Jehovah, the God that you blaspheme. And he today will deliver you into my hands. You are done." And all the army was laughing. And the other ones were all their knees were knocking. But David stood before this great giant and did him in. And he was not frightened at all. We look at some of the 8 great battles that took place. We think of Gideon. Now, he was frightened at first, but God convinced him, you don't need to fear. You're a strong man, Gideon. You can face this thing. And Gideon went out there, I'm sure he was nervous, but delivered to Israel a great victory against the Midianites. These people were fearless. Doesn't mean they weren't nervous. I'm sure they were. But I wonder if something to do with a promise that God gave to them isn't the key to understanding fearlessness. You see, God has given to us some great promises. Promises that he promises will never fail. Promises that he promises will never, ever be, he will never renege upon them. These are promises that he has promised, that he has fulfilled for generations past and will continue to fulfill them for their future. When Joshua was nervous and he was looking into the promised land and Moses was gone, and he had to take responsibility to lead the children of Israel across the Jordan River, God said, "Do not fear, Joshua." He says it over and over and over again. And we read in Scripture the most common command in the Bible, I'm told, is do not fear. God is telling you, do not fear. Do not be put off by the size of the enemy. Do not be put off by your own apparent weakness. Stand firm. Put on the armor of God. Stand firm against anything that Satan has to throw against you. And when you stand up with boldness against those things, watch what God will do. God will not stand with you if you wimp out and you play the victim and say, "Oh, he's too big, he's too strong." Then God says, "Well, that's not good enough." He's looking for people of boldness who are not frightened by circumstances, who are not afraid of what people will say, but will boldly go against all odds to stand, to glorify God, as we said yesterday, and to extend the kingdom of our Creator God. Maybe you're facing circumstances today that are making you a little frightened. Well, I understand that. Sometimes we get a bit nervous, but let's toughen up. Let's remember that the God who was with David and delivered that huge giant into his hands, the God who delivered the Midianites into the hands of this once frightened man, is the same God who says to us, do not fear, guys. Don't fear what the future holds. Don't fear what the devil can throw at you. Just love God, serve people, and stand with boldness against the enemy who would like to make you fearful. One last thought here. Satan's greatest tool against you, you do know, is fear. He knows that if he can intimidate you and if he can make you fearful, that means he can control you. And you don't want to be controlled by him because he's a bully. and He will make you fear things that you need to have no fear of. He will say things to you and whisper things in your ear that He has no possibility of doing, because the sovereignty of God is there to protect you. So today, in the circumstances of a very nervous South Africa or America or wherever you may be, and there are lots of nervous people there, nervous is not too bad. It creates adrenaline. But fear, we don't want to be fearful. Do not be frightened, people. God is always with us. Not just with us, but now He's in us. That should make the devil tremble. Let's make sure we do that well. We'll have a good day. Cheers, bye.